The shaky head is often misunderstood. Here is how many picture it being fished. And this will work, but this terrific setup is missing a lot of its potential if we only fish it like this. But these two retrieves you'll see today will cover both ends of a fish's mood: the intrigued, curiosity-driven bite and the reaction bite. Two opposite ends of the behavior spectrum, and we'll break that down in a minute. My hope is this underwater footage gives you the confidence in what your shaky head is actually doing as you fish it. While I love fishing a shaky head all year, it really gets brought up a lot right now in the spring. When checking conditions and suggested lures at a variety of fisheries on my deep dive app, all of them very different, you can see the shaky head is recommended a lot right now. Everything from river fishing to power plant lakes to highland reservoirs. It's great for the back of creeks, the front of creeks, and even main lake stuff. It works all over. It also covers all water clarities. Granted, the targeted depth of course changes when clarity gets dingier, as well as color. But this one here, clear water, is where I personally love to fish it. When using the right plastics, that tail is a magnet for strikes. You'll have to do some messing around with different lures. Not all of them stand up like we think they do. Often they will roll over or just kind of drop down to the side. You'll still get bit, but I like the lure to be visible from farther away. A lure that stands up does that. Now, this first retrieve is what I like when those reaction bites are the ticket. It's the double pop. And it's important that this double pop is done with your wrist and not your whole arm. I don't want a giant pop or movement, just a small double move that will make a bass that isn't interested in eating react and bite. Another factor that is often overlooked is when using the double pop retrieve, it is easy to go too quick. In other words, if you do something like a pop pop underwater, it looks like one big movement. We want a slower pop pop. Then you can see the action I'm talking about. Two distinct movements, distinct pops that we hope will draw the reaction strike. Well, now how can you tell when a reaction bite is needed? If you're not getting bites with the lure just sitting or slowly moving, that's a good indicator. It's like if you're fishing something, let's say like a little swim bait, along some vegetation. The steady retrieve isn't working all that well. Then that open hook gets stuck. You rip it free and boom, a fish smashes it. That is a typical reaction bite and what we are attempting to mimic with the double pop. I love to show this little bass footage right here, following a lure down. When I snap the lure, the bass can't help but engulf it. It instinctually reacts. However, this retrieve is my favorite, and I always start with it. It does a great job of testing the mood of the bass. It's the steady drag. You can watch it here and see why it's so effective. A very lifelike action happens when pulled along the bottom. And when the lure hits something or gets a little bit stuck and pulls free of it, well, then you have that opportunity to get that reaction strike while dragging. And my favorite part of the dragging shaky head retrieve is you feel everything down there, all of it. And that is so key to figuring out where bass are holding on any given day. All right, now let's get into my favorite part. When we take a look at these two retrieves side by side, I love this because it really breaks down the subtleties of each. And of course, depending on the cover you are fishing and the length of your cast, mixing in both of these retrieves into the same retrieve can be excellent. The great thing about that tail always working for you is when you're dragging that lure back and you hit that composition that is a little bit different, you can leave the lure sit there a bit. It's always working. Such a great presentation, not only for days when a finesse bite is needed, but man, it'll catch them great when the bass are more aggressive too. Thank you to the Deep Dive app for sponsoring this video. You can find them on the Apple Store, the Google Play Store, or you can just follow the link down below in the description. And hey, if you would like to watch a video, another side-by-side video that shows the loop knot and what's really happening down there on something like a jerkbait, go ahead and check this one out right here. And make sure that you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.